All right, what is up?
What's going on?
Back
Facebook, YouTube, and everybody else down south.
And all over the place.
Yeah, man. So
we've been getting a lot of new followers and likes. It's pretty.
Dude, what are we? 140 some odd.
We're less than that now. We're close to maybe 100. Less than that.
Less than 100. Less than 100 away from 5,000 followers.
Yeah,
that's freaking awesome. So thank you all of you guys out there for watching us, and we appreciate it, man. This is
it's still tuning in after a year later.
Yeah, listen, it's been over a year now. Yeah.
Yep.
So busy weekend for myself. Of course, went to the Penn Speedway Friday night. Our good buddy Nate Stevens, the unruly race, the Orcs Awakening. Good race, man. Deinhardt, he pulled it off again, so he's 2 for 2. Mike Morse was second. Penn Speedway. He wasn't
man enough to take the challenge, though, huh?
No, it
was actually $300. He could have won it from 98th place, really.
I don't know. He said he broke a shock and he had something else going on with the car, so who knows? Yeah. But big shout out to Penn Speedway. Great hospitality at that racetrack.
Okay.
It was really cool. I got to go down, and it's been a long time since I've interviewed Brian Malcolm. And Brian came up short in the modified feature, but he won the sportsman race. So he was all surprised. He was like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And then the young guy that we had on the show here a couple of weeks ago with the 4-cylinder series.
Rob Williams.
Yeah, so Rob wound up winning, and we had a chance to talk to him in Victory Lane also. So and it was cool. Yeah, so I never announced at Penn Speedway before, and that was my second time ever there. And thank you very much to the people from Penn. Absolutely great hospitality, great people, really cool facility. It was a good time.
I think I would have loved to have been in the stands there. The people that heard you for the first time. Holy shit.
Listen,
I couldn't make the race. I got home from work late, but I ordered it and watched it on TV, man. I was dying the whole time.
Yeah.
Your one-liners on there are great.
Yeah, great. I don't know where I come up with this shit, man. I really don't, I don't know. Nate told me to have a good time, and that's what I did. I had a good time, and
see, I can't do that. When I'm announcing on Friday night, when I'm behind the mic, I can't talk. I just can't do that to somebody. Like, you're just ruthless with it. And it just comes natural.
We walked through the pits, and I told each and every one of them, I said, listen, I hope you guys all have a sense of humor. And that's kind of, the energy that Nate really wanted with this series, with the open racing series. I
got yelled at last year for announcing a couple guys' names wrong. I mean, that's my name,
that's Accord Speedway, dude. They'll kill you up there. Yeah. I don't know how many times. Oh my gosh, what's her name? She's with Anthony Tarantino Jr. Gary Ronk's daughter,
Courtney.
Yeah. So she would come up and boy, man, she'd give me the old what for chewing somebody's name up. And then after that, I would just say it on purpose just to annoy the crap out of them. Yeah. So
Accord opens Friday, Tracy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so that's going to be cool. Accord's opening up. Of course, they weren't able to get their practice in this last weekend. Orange County Fair Speedway, they had double features, I think, for a couple of divisions. Bob Slate, congrats to Bob. He picks up both the street stock wins at Orange County. Who else? Corey Cormier
won the small block. Yep, and Dylan Stoyer won the big block.
Yeah, nice. Who else was running? I didn't really see a whole lot. I think Stuart Friesen, didn't he win Fonda?
No, Matty D, I believe, won Fonda.
Okay.
Yeah, Di Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Win for him.
My good buddy Matt Burke. Matt was an old street stock guy from back in a few years ago there on Orange County Fair Speedway. I know he picked up a win, I believe, at Lebanon Valley in the Sportsman.
Okay. That's a name from the past. Burke.
Yeah, man, he kind of disappeared for a little while, and I think his family went through some rough stuff. He lost his sister, unfortunately, and so I think it was extremely life-changing for the family and stuff. But it's cool to see him back racing and stuff. Great guy. His mom was always awesome.
Absolutely.
But so anyway, so we've got an extremely cool show here tonight, man. I think I've actually been wanting him to come on here for a while, and so we've had go-kart racers, slingshot racers, modified guys. I think we had a dirt bike guy on. I'm not really sure if he knew where he was. All the talking Joel does, he was quiet when I seen him. Tommy Groover. Yeah. Hey, big shout out Tommy Groover, man. Nice run. Good opening run, night with that thing. I think he wound up third. So
third, yeah.
Yeah. So he did a good job. He did all the talking I do. I was pretty quiet. Yeah, listen, man, I'm not as talkative as you think I am.
Yeah, right.
Plus, it was the end of the night too, man. I'd been up since like 5 a.m, so I was pretty tired. But
20 street stocks at the country club.
20 street stocks, Orange County Club. Yeah. So the private country club in Orange County is doing well. Listen, they had 20 street stocks, and I think 6 finished. So yeah, absolutely great job. It was a good job. Yeah. So listen, I'm not bashing the place, man. I think it's awesome. And then I even messaged Rob Sedata. I was like, hey man, where's Charlie and Danny? That's 2 more cars for them. You know what I mean? So that's awesome. I love to see that division grow at Orange County. And I know Pop's he's got to put his digs in. So that's cool. Good for you.
Yeah. It's all right. He earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. I really do. I think it's absolutely awesome. And that's something that we were looking to not see happen, and that was that division go away. And so obviously they're doing something right. You know, guys are still coming, so that's cool. Listen, can't knock that. Really can't.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
But all right. So without further ado, a man who's been involved with racing probably as long as I've been alive. We're gonna hear some stories. We're gonna find out how he got started and all that other good stuff. And he is, and I'm sure that if I'm wrong, I will be corrected, but I do believe he is the voice of the Albany Saratoga Speedway and the Lebanon Valley Speedway. I had the pleasure of working with him a few seasons ago, Eastern States Weekend with Timmy Pitts and a bunch of other really great announcers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Martin.
How you doing, guys?
What's happening, brother?
Usually I try and make my schedule so I can catch you guys live. And
awesome.
When Gary reached out to me, I said, hey, I guess now I got it. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
So
glad you did.
If I don't make it, I always try and tune in. You guys are doing a great job, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
No, it's what it's all about. Your diversity, like you just said, you've had a little bit of everything on there. And yeah, maybe a dirt bike racer too. I think his quote was, "I don't even know."
Dan, you know just as well as I do. Sometimes it's just no matter what you do to try to lead them into the question or to try to get that out, you just can't.
And at his age, I probably would have used some words.
Yeah,
but when you asked how much he had invested, and the answer was, "I don't even know." It was like, well, you're going to use that in a different light someday.
Yeah. So, my how I got my start was years ago. I had wrecked my car, and I've always been, I guess, a little bit of a character, I suppose. Joanne Chadwick was the general manager for Orange County Fair Speedway. So this is however many years ago that was. Rick Ryder was announcing an enduro, and my father set it up so that I could go and announce with Rick Ryder to help. And it just kind of went from there. Joanne Chadwick offered me a job. Of course, I declined because I wanted to race. And then, so I would fill in from time to time with Rick or, with Timmy Pitts. And then my dad had me doing the announcing for the demolition derbies during the fair. And then from there, it went to Accord Speedway for 10 years. And I wound up becoming the head announcer there. And then, I wanted to race. And then my kids were getting older. And I was a head announcer at Orange County for a couple of years when Timmy had left for a little bit. And that's how it got started. But I remember, I don't remember how we met, Dan. I really don't. I don't remember. I think you came to Accord and maybe introduced yourself.
Well, yeah, it was actually through Big Jim when Big Jim was doing the videos. And,
right.
We were doing Inside Northeast Racing.
Okay.
And you made a couple cameos. And Jim did not tip his hat, and and Gary, this was something that you'll like it with doing Accord too, because we did a little TV show each week, and we covered probably half a dozen tracks anyway, and they would get the Victory Lane interview, Joel doing it, and he, like I said, unannounced, he goes, "Okay, and back to you, Dan." and Jim knew it was coming. And he just, I mean, you know, so I got the character part out of the way in the beginning, and I mean, we, you know,
because I remember, I do remember that now. I remember Steve Paytos going, "Who the hell is Dan?"
I mean, he's got to be like, all right, now what? Now Joel really lost his mind.
When I first started at Accord, it was myself, Steve Paytos, and Andy Crane. There was 3 of us up there in that little booth. Yeah. And then then we wound up meeting, and then you'd pop into Accord every once in a while, man, and I gave your due diligence. And then a few years ago, I had a chance, I want to say it was 2015, I had a chance to go up to Albany Saratoga, and Gary, I felt like I was Bret Hart. I really did. The way Dan talked me up, man, I wasn't going to lose.
And, we've only had one rooftop shuffler run through Malta.
And dude, it was an absolute blast. It really was. It was. I still have the video. I think that we might, every once in a while I'll pop it in and stuff like that. But dude, what a really cool place to race, and hopefully eventually I'd like to get back there. Lebanon Valley is the next one on the list, man. That's where
I love Albany, sir. It's just tough. I mean, traffic going up, especially up in the summertime from where I am, trying to get up, because it seems like everybody and your uncle's going camping up there.
Up
that way. It's just so hard.
Once Memorial Day hits or once school's out, it's murders. I mean, I worked in Albany for 25 years, and to make it up there on a Friday night, I had to negotiate my way into my jobs as I took them, that I could get out at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Friday, because it was impossible. And we go through it all the time. If you get one little glelch on the Northway, we got drivers calling, telling them we're coming, handicap us, get there as soon as you can. It's really.
I think it was Dan Wood, who I met when he was running Bethel. He said the same thing. He said, if you're going to come up just for that night, he said, take the day off of work.
You almost
and I'm glad I did. Yeah, because it was, what was supposed to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours was like almost 3 hours. It was almost 3 hours for us to get up there. And but what a cool place, man. I think they started 35 cars that night, and I think everybody finished except maybe a couple. But just really, really cool place. Really cool.
And you ran good up there. And
we did okay. We did okay.
When Gary reached out to me Friday, I had mentioned to our promoter and track operator, Lyle DeVore, on Friday. And I said, and he goes, I know the name. And I said, he came up here. I said, it was, it wasn't 10 years ago, but it was a while ago. And I said, I said, he came up here. He ran good. I said, he's an asphalt guy now, pretty much. But I said, the Accord experience obviously led him. You got around Malta good. Dude.
It was. I think I wound up 8th or something like that. And I remember pulling in because that's there was you guys. They run primarily Monte Carlos up there. I still had the Camaro, and the guy says, "Oh, what are you running? Pro stock?" And I went, "What? No, no." But just everybody was really cool. I think Miller. I think Miller was the guy who was winning a lot then.
Yeah, he won right up to when he. I mean, he doesn't race there much anymore. He'll come every once in a while and pick up a win, but he's the leading winner in the street stock division. He there was a lot of guys that I had run with before, when we tried pro stocks and guys that have come to Middletown and when I was running there a lot, and but just absolutely the hospitality was awesome. The way you talked me up to was absolutely great. So There's only been one rooftop shuffler.
I don't know. How did let's get right into it. How did you get involved with racing?
Well, much like I am today, I started out as a race fan. My father, where we grew up in southern Saratoga County, the area now is a hustle bustle area, Clifton Park, Half Moon, but it was farmland when we grew up, and it was pretty rural. My father's probably within a 5 or 6 mile radius. We had Pete Corey, George Proctor, Irv Taylor. Trying to think, I'm going to leave somebody out. We had Hall of Fame drivers in the area, so it wasn't hard to get sucked in. My father and Irv Taylor were school chums. They used to go out and race hell together, and we went to the races. And that's, I grew up in a farming community. What the deal was, you work in the field on Saturday, and we'll take a shower at 3:00, and we're going back then. We'd go to Fonda every Saturday night. Yeah. And Malta opened up when I was in high school. I was in grade school. Within 5 minutes of my house, Donnie and I are the same age. I kid around at Malta every once in a while. I got my kindergarten class picture, and Donnie Ronca and I and Jeff Proctor. So it was, again, that whole deal. That was asphalt. A lot of our parents didn't like the asphalt, so it was like, okay, you kids go to the races. We'll pick you up when it's done. Yeah. And then we go see dirt on Saturday night. So we saw the best. We saw the best of the best 2 consecutive nights. And didn't do a lot of traveling back then. Didn't really do a lot of traveling until I was in high school. I got away from the cars probably in the early 70s. I was racing flat track motorcycles. Raced bikes for a few years. Then instead of chasing bikes, I was chasing girls, whatever. So I didn't do either. But then once I got enough money, a decent job, what have you, one of my closest friends growing up around high school days was Scott Knoll. And Scott was a very good race car driver. And
these names you're throwing around, man, I know them. I'm trying to picture them, but I know the names. Yeah.
His family owned a machine shop. Scott was a great engine builder. He was, we're all like part of the family with the Roncas and what have you. Scott won a championship at Malta in street stocks. He was moving up to the modifieds. They didn't have sportsmen back then. I bought Scott's street stock. That's when the pro stocks started up there. And I was rookie of the year in 86. Came back the next year and won the track championship. Nice. And then the next year, I didn't finish the year out because the way they were with the pro stocks up there, we could run 9-inch rear ends. We were running big carburetors, the Hollies and what have you. You couldn't run anywhere else. So I didn't fix the car because it was unique to Albany Saratoga. That's when I went open wheel racing. I ran 1 year at Fonda in the sportsman class, and because I didn't have sportsmen at Malta back then. And it only took me 1 year to dig a hole that took me 3 more to get out of. And that's when I said, okay, so I got to rethink this thing. Yeah. And I kind of just found my way into a way of being one of the few people that walk out of the speedway at the end of the night with a couple more bucks in their pocket than walked in. And I started working at Lebanon Valley in 1990. John Stanley is you mentioned voice of Lebanon Valley. I came on as John's assistant. John refused to call it assistant. He called us co-announcers, but he was my mentor. We've worked together now side by side for 33 years at Lebanon.
So he's still okay. Yeah, he's still
two of us together Saturday nights. But that,
so I knew you would correct me.
Well, no, you were right. But we're partners. But like I said, he was my mentor. We've been great friends. We grew up in the same town. He's a few years older than me, but I knew who he was. We had some mutual friends, and we've been great friends for 33 years and partners.
Yeah.
So
see, that's the thing. Like the announcer, man, to do it for a long time. Like I just started. Last year was my first time at Accord. I was thrown into it. Like, go ahead. And man, I used to pick apart some announcers, at the track. But now here I am up there. It's like, wow, you know, and you get a newfound respect for these announcers. And, you know, and then you get a little upset when these guys are so hard on them because it's really not that. It's a job, man. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, back then I raced Friday nights at Albany Saratoga. So Saturday afternoons, we'd, you know, clean the car up Saturday morning, do a little bit of maintenance, depending if it was maintenance, repair work, or whatever. We did run airborne on Saturday nights when back then CJ had the Silver Crown Series, and we would have to go up to run for the series races up to Plattsburgh. But if we weren't racing it, or if we rained out on Friday night, the car was ready, I'd go to Plattsburgh on Saturday. Yeah. But if we weren't racing on Saturday nights, I'm almost the exact same distance to go to Fonda as I am to go to Lebanon from where I grew up. And 1 week I would go to Fonda, 1 week I'd go to Lebanon. Maybe we'd go to Plattsburgh, depending on what we do. And I thought that I knew a bunch of the guys at Lebanon Valley until opening night when I started announcing. And of course now I'm doing the street stocks, or back then, yeah, they're pure stocks, I guess. We had over 100 of them at Lebanon.
Yeah.
We ran 4 races of them.
Yeah.
And I realized that I knew 3 guys. So Gary, don't think you're not going through the same thing that every one of us do.
So I told him because he had, you know, and he got the gig pretty much because of this. And I said to him, I said, listen to me. I said, I'm going to tell you something that Timmy Pitts taught me. You know, right from the get-go. Don't be afraid. If you make a mistake, own it.
Own it. Yeah.
Own it. and you know, I mean, don't sit and dwell on it. But if you say somebody's name wrong, dude, just own it. You know, it is, you know, and that's the personality of it. That's the, you know what I mean? If you're up there and you're starting to kind of bullshit your way through stuff, but you continuously do that, people are gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always felt that a good announcer is somebody who is a fan of racing. You don't have to have ever been a driver, but you need to be a fan. Yeah. And Penn Can Speedway Friday night, that's what they're like, man, you are so entertaining. And it was very humbling to me. And I was like, you know, I was like, listen, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of what's going on. I'm a fan of the races. You know, I'm a full fendered guy, but I love racing so much that, you know, one of my favorite divisions to announce obviously is pro stocks and street stocks. But like you get like the Eastern States 200, and I love it. I love it because it's the you know, the drama that's happening throughout the race. And then you get to where, you know, if I'm working with Timmy, like Eastern States weekend, and we get talking about somebody who's starting to come through the path, you know, and it's a storyline. You're building the storyline, you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know. Even now, I'm starting to like get at, you know what I mean? It just
well, and that's a lot of it. And I mean, I know I'm credited with it a lot. That I'll have people come up and say, you know, and my MO is I am a race fan. That's all it's all about. I'm just lucky enough to be able to do what I do. Yeah. And, you know, some people say, God, that's got to be great. Well, it is great at times until, like you say, and you had made mention earlier about messing up somebody's name. I had a couple of brothers that I couldn't keep apart, and I had their mother, if she could have strung me from the telephone pole, she would have. And she reminded me every week when I made it. And then you get the mental block. And then it's like, okay, so now even though I know it, it's going to come out of my mouth wrong.
Yeah,
you know, my biggest thing now is, once I'm done, once I've decided I don't really want to race anymore, I will probably look for some place to go and announce just to be a part of it. But it just it's a lot. It's a lot, you know, because you know when you leave, I would try to get to the track a couple hours early because, you know, as well as I do, Dan, you want to get the new guys, you want to get the sponsors, where are you from, you know, and try and get some sort of history, especially if they've never been there before. But there were times when, you know, a few years ago, Eastern States, I had somebody private message me and told me that I was the worst thing to ever happen in Orange County. And he messaged Brett Hearn, and I can't believe that you have this. He's the worst representation in 100 years. And I was just like, and I took that to heart. I really did. That bothered me a lot. And then, you know, and I was talking to Timmy about it, and Timmy's like, That's the first time that's happened. I was like, well, no, but but it's, you know what I mean? When you put your heart and soul into it,
No,
you take that stuff a little personal sometimes. I didn't answer him back. I didn't say anything. No. I kept my mouth closed. But I was hired that weekend Timmy was the professional and I was the colored commentator, I guess. You know what I mean? I was the guy that was supposed to be. What I was doing was what I was being paid to do. And that was I believe you were there that weekend also. You guys had the desk down in turn 1.
Yeah, that was the COVID year.
Yeah, man, did I just get blasted. I just, wow. I took that to heart because you want to put on a good show. You know what I mean? You want to be professional, but you want to have a good time with it also. Yeah. And
there's always you'll never keep everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody,
especially in this day and age with social media.
Now that we've got keyboard commandos, I mean, they can all do it better.
Listen, I've been on here a couple of times defending Timmy Pitts, and Timmy's not one for social media.
Timmy gets beat up.
Yeah, and I'm like, guys, you don't understand, dude. He's one of the best in the business. You know what I mean? Is his stuff? Does he say the same thing? Yes, but that's the experience. That's, you know what I mean. People go to Orange County, and if you don't hear Timmy Pitts, it's, hey man, where's Timmy? You know what I mean? That's the experience. You think of Orange County and announcing, it's Timmy Pitts. It's not Joel Mearns. It's not Rick Ryder. It's not Dan Martin. It's Timmy Pitts.
No,
you're
right.
And it's the same thing. Lebanon Valley, Albany Saratoga. When you go, it's Dan Martin. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't know that you had a partner at Lebanon Valley Speedway. I thought it was just you. I really did.
No, John does the modifieds. Yeah. We split sportsman. I do the pro. I mean, I do the full fender stuff. But no, John is really the lead man. John is he had a full career outside of racing type stuff, but he was a radio announcer on WGNA here in the Capital District, which is the most successful country station up here. And he did 40 years of that. He did that back in high school. I mean, back before it was really a thing.
Yeah.
And he's very professional. It's a good mix the way we are because he's very professional. He's got the radio technique, and I'm the guy that says duh and and that's what I started to say earlier. People will compliment me and say, it's like you're just talking to us. It's like we're sitting at the picnic table and ready to throw a few down or whatever, and you're talking about what's going on or whose brother's done something, my uncle's father's brother's cousin, and that's just part of it. I mean, I'm no different than anybody that walks through that gate, and there are a few guys out there that they take a different approach, and I'm not going to knock it. Every one of us has got our own little way of doing it, and some positive and some maybe not so positive.
Yeah, but, listen, I've noticed this over the years. At the racetracks, the announcers have their own little world. No matter what track you go to. And if you're an announcer and you're going to that track, you're going to have an opinion. Whether you have an opinion and everybody hears it or whether you have an opinion to yourself.
That was my biggest thing when I started. Like, they were like, you can't be biased.
And then the track photographers.
It's so hard.
The track photographers have their own little world.
Yeah.
And then the tow truck guys, they got their own little world. You know what I mean? And it's I have found myself a couple of times going to a track I've never been to and just doing this. You know what I mean? It's not what I would do, but as long as the crowd is involved and you're putting the information out, to me, if I leave and I had a good time, then I feel like everybody else did too.
Absolutely.
I get to work with Shane Andrews a couple times a year for these series races.
Now that right there, I would love to. That guy.
We do Super Dirt Week together. He brought me out there. I mean, they asked for a number of years. I was more happy being there for the experience. I didn't need to work. I was glad I got to do it before the mile was done. I did 3 years up at the mile before we went to Oswego. But Shane and I go back to 1996.
Yeah, I think that was. I think that's most of anybody who's been announcing for as long as you have. And now I'm over 20 years doing announcing it here and there. I think that was always the bucket list, man. Listen, I just want to do one interview at Syracuse, just one, and I'm good. Yeah, and I'm so listen. I got to run there one time. you know.
I remember it.
and that's all that mattered. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that did that for the finale, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I was glad I was part of that. I sat behind Joe Murata when he signed off that night. Shane and I got in the golf. They always put us up in trailers over off of turn 3, so we didn't have to go to a hotel or anything. Shane and I had the same golf cart. We went out after it was all said and done, took the final lap around while the people were digging the, whatever you want to call it, for digging up. But I was right behind Joe when he signed off for the final time. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that don't have much good to say about Syracuse, but you know, from the first time I went there, and it was larger than life. And then all the stories and everything else, and to be able to work there, to do it, and to do it with the guys that I got to do it with. It was pretty special.
I never went there. I've never been to Syracuse, but the finale.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because for one, like you said, there's a lot of critics, and I was that critic. I hated the racing there. It was, you know what I mean? So I was like, I just couldn't do it. But I went there for the finale, and I was just absolutely blown away by the prestige of it. And
I'm telling you, the atmosphere.
I was like, wow, I should have done this all
I
earlier.
started going in the early 90s. A family friend, we called him Uncle Bob. His name was Bob Ryder. He ran a Sportsman in Orange County, and when he started going up with the Sportsman. And then my father was in charge of the pro stocks, I believe, for like the southern portion when with Dirt Car, with Glenn Donnelly and all them. And I would follow my dad when I was a kid. We would follow the tour. My dad would do, and then I think the officials, they had a northern and then southern. My dad would do like Lebanon Valley, Fonda, and then there was somebody who did the other side, and then everybody would meet at Syracuse. So I started going with him when they would qualify at Rolling Wheels, the pro stocks, and then run Syracuse the next day. And that's when I started going. And even as a small kid, I was probably, well, I shouldn't say small kid, but I was 14, 15 years old, maybe a little bit younger when I started going there. And that's all I was like, man, I just want to try this place just one time. I just want to come here just once. And my goal was always to move up to the pro stocks and basically just retire in that division. Well, like you, Dan, I bought a pro stock, and it took me about 4 or 5 years to finally get out of the hole that I was in. I ran pro stock for probably 2-3 years, and it was not good. But so when I heard Syracuse was closing, I knew that it was something that needed to happen. I have a pro stock chassis. I had one. I ran out of time, and I went, I'm bringing my street stock. And everybody thought that I was out of my mind. They're like, you're not going to be able to do that. I put a crate motor in it. I changed the exhaust. I changed the body. I did all of this in like 2 weeks, and we went. And I can remember going through tech, and the guy pulls me over, and he says, he says, almost like planes, trains, and automobiles, "Sir, do you feel that this car is safe for highway travel?" he says, "You feel safe in this car?" And I was like, "What?" I was pissed off by it. I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "Where do you normally run this?" And I was like, I said, "I've run Orange County." He goes, "How many years have you run?" I said, "I've run it a couple years." I said, "Listen to me. I never assume that people know who my father is, and I never assume people know who I am." And I said, "Listen to me." I said, my dad was an official for 40 years. I said, he used to come to this track religiously. I said, if I didn't feel safe here, I wouldn't have brought this car. So I finally get out on the track, and tears are rolling down my face because just the experience, I'm like, oh my God, I'm at Syracuse. I can't believe this. Well, they dropped the green. I went down to turn 1, and the only thing I thought was, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe at all. I was like, I'm going to hit the wall. I'm going to die. But it was just, and I came in from hot laps, and the G-force that I felt in my chest, and they're telling me, listen, don't look around, because if you do, your head will get stuck. And I'm like, I thought that was all bullshit. I went down to turn 1, and the wind comes down around the grandstand, and your head does this, and you're like, what the hell is that? It was awesome. And I'm so sorry that I didn't get a chance to do it more, to be up. And I even said, if that track was open every week, I would race there every week. And, it just, I think my next, I have an idea for a tattoo, and it has to deal with the finale at Syracuse and all that stuff. And dude, what an experience. What an experience. And I'm so sorry that it's gone. I really am. I really am.
A lot of us say that.
Out of now, how many different places have you announced that other than Albany and Lebanon Valley?
For a lot of years I did Albany Saratoga on Friday, Lebanon on Saturday, and I did Devil's Bowl for, I don't know, 5-6 years steady. I had gone back for here and there for some special shows. The last couple of years I've been going up since they went to Saturdays. I've been going up for their Sunday shows. Mike Bruno and I have been good friends for a number of years. I mean, he raced Albany Saratoga for a number of years. His father raced. Actually, the year that I won the championship, CD Colville won the championship in the modifieds, driving Mike's father John's car. So, there was a little, like I say, I've known Mike for many, many years. We've been pretty good friends. He's asked me in, I don't know, a handful of years that, hey, if you can come up, we'd love to have you, blah, blah, blah. I started doing it a couple of years ago. We went up when they started the battle at the bowl. I went up to do that show. Last year I went up and did the 200 on a Sunday. I think I went up 3-4 times last year, but, and the same thing, he says, plan on having you back this year, and all the Sunday shows. So anyway, I did Devil's Bowl when it was CVRA, because then we were doing Albany Saratoga and Devil's Bowl were the same deal. Other than that, obviously that's it weekly. I did the Victoria 200 out to Fulton. I don't know, probably half dozen times. Like I said, I started to say that's where Shane and I originally worked together. Shane, I, and Jimmy King, the first year I did it out there. And then Shane and I have done it for years. I'm trying to think. I did one show at Fonda. There was a little deal going on where I won't get too deep into that, but I almost went to Fonda years ago. Decided I needed to stay where I was. That's when Rick Lucia was running Fonda at the time, and Rick, I had a lot of respect for Rick and the people around him. Marty and Hertha Beberwick were involved with him. They came from Lebanon. I'll say I didn't have a great relationship with Rick other than just, knowing each other from racing. But I got hurt pretty bad on a motorcycle 2010. And Rick was up doing track prep at Utica Rome that Sunday night that I got hurt that week. And Rick, in an interview on the air, asked for prayers for me. Wow. And I was like, I worked at his biggest competitor at Lebanon Valley. And like I say, he didn't owe me anything. But that, that's the stuff we see as a racing family,
Yeah.
And I've built so many of those, you don't have enough time to go through those stories.
Listen, and it's just, listen, Christ, man, I don't win all the time. I don't win. I'm once or twice a year, and I'm okay with that. And I've gone where it was 4 or 5 years without getting a win. But it's the whole Scott Morris. Let's talk about Scott Morris, Lebanon Valley street stock guy. I've never once turned one lap with him at all, ever. Never raced against him, and I consider Scott a friend. He's been to my house and picked up parts, and I had him laughing one night, and I said, Jesus Christ, did these guys act like it's NASCAR? And dude, we're not NASCAR, and now he's part of Jay Smalley's street stock help source. And and to me, I think Scott's the voice of the street stocks up there, and you know what I mean. And it's just the people that you meet. I've again never turned a lap with the guy. And whenever I see him, it's like we're old buddies, and
great,
and
great.
It's the whole. It's truly, I spent 6 years in the military, and they told us that you'll never have the camaraderie that you have here in the military. You'll never have this again in your life, and I want to prove them wrong. I want to tell them, hey, listen, man, you guys were wrong. From day one, it's always been that camaraderie, that family, how everybody comes together, and even somebody who's not even associated with racing and they have, troubles and stuff like that, and what the racing community does for them,
It's amazing.
Emerson Cargain, you know what I mean? He piped in breaking my chops because I call Orange County their own private country club. But what he's done at Orange County has been amazing. You know what I mean? He's kept that division alive. And there was a season where him and I we were butting heads, and it was not good. And a couple of years later, he wound up breaking on the front stretch at Eastern States, and I was in a mess. And I stopped the car before I hit the finish line, backed up and pushed him across the finish line. And to me, that's what it was about. Listen, we can argue and fight like brothers and sisters, but at the end of the day, I got your back. You know what I mean? And that's the camaraderie. And it's the same thing with the officials and the announcers and track photographers. You know what I mean? Bobby Armbruster, every once in a while, hey man, how's mom and dad? And
we are family. It is.
Yeah.
I know it's cliche, but it's a racing family, man.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about that, your comments earlier about Matt Burke.
Yeah.
I still got goosebumps, man. Matt Burke lost 5 races since he's been up there. He's been there. He's either got involved in somebody else's wreck, something's broke. He's had 4 or 5 of them that he should have won. We talked about it in Victory Lane Saturday night.
Yeah.
I got down to the front stretch, almost to the car to interview him. He was just getting out. I saw his mother. I stood back and waited for him and his mother to embrace. Yeah. I knew how important that was to his mom. I mean, what nice people, and
absolutely. She would sit in the stands at Orange County, and Matt and I, Matt and I had some good races, man, and just absolutely great family. And I believe it was over the winter. I had asked Emerson, I was like, hey man, everybody heard from Matt? And then he, told me what had happened. And then Matt went sportsman racing, and he went to the Valley, and I had bought a car from Matt, and dude, just I was happy to see that. I saw the picture. I was like, oh shit, there's Matt. Absolutely great family, great guy. Does his brother-in-law still come with him? The Irish guy?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. I called him Lucky.
He doesn't have a big crew. Obviously they have to travel to get up there too. It's they're not around the corner. He's been up there for a good 5 years now, probably.
Yeah.
And like I say, he's had a handful of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But just to see, and he went wire to wire. He started up front, but just to see the shoulders come back up when he got out of the car, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, I've been, like I said, man, to be a good announcer, I think you have to be a fan. And especially when, you've watched, you've watched a racer come up and they've had their troubles and they've had their lumps and bruises, and then they finally pull one off, and you know what I mean? And it's cool to be a part of that. It's cool to, to call that race, and that's, and I love that just as much as everything else. Last week, Scott Tyler, got his first win ever in anything, and who was second, but I was happy for him. You know what I mean? And Frank Twing used to say that too. He would run over to the front stretch just to congratulate, somebody on their first win. And I think, it's a really cool sport that we're in. How are the car counts and stuff with you guys this year? How's everything been?
Well, Malta has been, it started out phenomenal. We had 177 cars in the pits on opening night. But Albany Saratoga benefits in the early part of the year. We'll get a lot of Devil's Bowl guys that'll come down and run until the bowl opens. The bowl doesn't open now until next week. Yeah. And same with Gary with Accord. We probably, I don't know if we've had too many from down there up on a Friday night so far. But, we dropped back down a little bit. We only had 4 heats of sportsmen on Friday. We had 5 the first week. The modifieds, we had a lot of outsiders in. in the beginning, and we were down. I mean, we still got 30 cars.
Yeah.
All the car counts are good at Albany, Saratoga. Lebanon, opening night was pretty thin. We haven't run the small blocks alone yet. We had 7 358s running with the big blocks. The 358s start this Saturday night at Lebanon. I've talked to a few guys that were still waiting. You know, the people are saying the supply chain thing is bullshit. It's not. And the problem is some of these guys that
it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know,
our counts have been down at Lebanon. They were a little better this week. They did get a little better.
The Valley's got to be tough on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Because you got, there's some racetracks going on up there. You know, especially with Fonda. You know,
I've always found that your area just draws the top-notch drivers, and
quality is just unreal up there.
And then I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I feel like the racing around here, that the community has changed. The demographics around here have changed. We get a lot of people from New York City that are moving up, and they don't want the noise. They don't want the loudness. And I feel like the racing around here is starting to go away, and that makes me nervous. You know, Orange County is, losing car count. Accord, Bethel is losing car count. You know, and then
you get tracks like 5 Mile that's going away.
Yeah, do you see that happening up there? Or I think that you guys are just prime race car country. I mean, you guys are. I think I don't think they'll go away in my lifetime.
Well, and I hope the hell it doesn't in mine. To answer your question, every bit of dirt right now is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anywhere you look. You think about what Orange County is worth if they want to sell.
Yes,
Lebanon is out very rural. Albany, Saratoga, there's housing developments. You can see yard lights
right in town.
Yeah.
You can see yard lights through off the backstretch.
Yeah.
I mean, this time of year with no foliage, it's tough, and they fight, but. We've had a few meetings with the town. We've had people that have gone to the meetings, neighbors, and stand up at the meeting and speak. Think about it this good to get up and speak and say, I've never been to this racetrack, but they've been here since 1963. If you don't like it, go somewhere on Friday night. Yeah. And I mean, it blew me away. I was like, and I can remember this one lady, she was vehement. I mean, she was like, for you people that think you're going to shut these people down, they've been here. We are the ones that moved into their town. And, it was like, I'm standing back and I'm like, go, lady, go.
But that's, and
that's what you need, more people like that to stand up.
Yeah. I've been to a Bethel Town Board meeting. I've been to the Orange County Town Board meeting. I've never been to one at Accord, and it's the same thing. We never knew that this racetrack was here, and this is ridiculous. And my argument is, before you buy a place, right? So I bought a house right next to a river. I knew I'm going to need flood insurance, and then I'm not going to move in. The house floods, and I go, well, nobody told me about it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do your research, and that irritates me when people don't do that. And
you buy a house downwind from a dairy farm, man.
Especially in the summertime. You know what I mean? But it's just and there's nothing worse, and I say it every single week. If you're on social media, go out and support your local racetrack. If you're a true racing fan, go out and support your local racetrack. If you're on social media and you're tearing them apart, dude, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem.
There's just no reason.
And you know what I mean? And I just, it makes me fearful for our sport. It really does. This is a tough time right now to be racing. It's costing me almost, and I'm considered a low buck guy, a low buck division, but anywhere minimum is $300 to go racing for the weekend, and I couldn't imagine what the modified teams are going through, and even the pro stock and sportsman guys, and, and it's just,
But that's another thing. Like you talk about that. Now, you think that would take away from the weekly racing? I mean, being what it is, you think that like the tour races would be more attractive? You know what I mean? Like you got the Deo series, you got the dirt, and they're only racing on sporadic nights. You know what I mean?
But I think,
is it cost effective to race every single week like that with the prices right now, or is it?
I personally don't.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Do I love racing? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I've been doing it a long time, but I'm at the point where I don't know if I want to race every weekend, but that just might be me because of how long I've been doing it. But I'm honestly looking for like a touring series, because if you run once or twice a month, I'm at the point now where I'm okay with that. I don't really see too many guys that are doing this for a living. And the guys that I do see are you got Stewie and you got Matt Shepard, and it's not like it was, man. In the 90s, the modified guys were like rock stars. Yeah. They really were.
Well, and one thing with the touring, I mean, tomorrow night's the Super Dirt Series event down at Bridgeport.
Yep.
The way it used to be is the middle of the road, the middle of the pack. I don't like to say middle of the pack. Middle of the road, budget-wise guys. They used to start the tour and you run 3 races and then make their decision of how far they're going to go.
Yeah.
What's it going to cost somebody from up here to drive down to Bridgeport tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. If you got it budgeted out, will it equal itself out by doing this on occasion rather than every single week? Some guys are still traveling 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get to a racetrack.
Do you think it's a money thing? Like the payout, has the payout gotten worse? Because I really don't think it has. I think if anything, the payout is tremendous. It's way better than what it used to be. The $10,000 to win thing, that was at the end of the year. That wasn't like a weekly thing, and now it's almost a weekly thing.
Right? No, they're paying. They're definitely paying.
Yeah, I mean they are. It's just everybody isn't getting that chunk of change. Yeah. I thought about it when we had 35 modifieds opening night at Malta. I said there's a lot of guys going home. And we had guys that traveled, guys that it cost them $500-600 to get here and back. Dragging a toter all the way across New York State and back. Yeah. And I said these guys are loading it up and going home, man. I don't know. I don't know how many.
It's just a tough situation and that's the thing. Most of these guys are, it's over $6 and some cents a gallon for diesel for my truck. It's just, that's what I'm saying. At what point can it sustain all year? That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, there's a lot of,
what I mean? Can the track sustain cars all year long?
The issue with the
lay the budget out. These low buck. I mean, the Stewies and the Shepards. The big name guys, they'll be able to do it. But are these little guys still going to be able to backfill to fill that rest of them 20 cars that you need? I don't know, man. It's scary to me.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that used to run 2 nights a week local that are probably only going to be able to run 1 night a week now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we used to run Friday night at Accord, and then we went to Middletown on Saturday. I ran street stock on Friday night at Accord, and then the pro stock the next night. And
when I had the sportsman, that's what I would do. I'd come home from Accord on a Friday, take all the tires off, rescale it, and do it, and go to Middletown the next night. So, but that's the stuff that's got us. I just can't see these guys doing. 2 nights a week. That's tough business.
Anyway, let's. So Dan, you were talking about Super Dirt Week. You've announced up there Oswego, Syracuse, Albany, Saratoga, Lebanon Valley, the Devil's Bowl. That's up in Vermont, correct? Devil's Bowl.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And where else have you called some action?
I off the top of my head, that's about it, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so other than your home tracks and stuff, what would be one of the racetracks that you would love to try and announce at?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. I'm more to be honest with you, I'd be just as happy to park my ass down and turn 4 with a cold.
Yeah. And
I'm a race fan. That's all it is.
And what is there any race that sticks out in your mind that was your absolute favorite?
The old format of the Victoria 200 was, it used to be a question. If you could only go to one race a year, what race would you go to? The old Vicky. I mean, that race today, the Outlaw 200 it's like another series race is all it is. But back then you'd get the guys that came up from, East Windsor was still around then, but they'd come up with creations and and 100 cars, and it was balls out racing from the first green flag at a heat race. They'd run 11 heat races, and just to make the show was something. And then it was every race, every lap, you had to race your ass off. And boy, that was the race to me. That was the race.
Yeah. So I've been asked, I don't know how many times, what do you prefer? You prefer driving to announcing or announcing and then driving?
Oh, there's no question there. That's rhetorical. You stick a microphone anywhere.
Yeah.
No, you'll never replace that. You know that. Just I mean, I can remember, Joel. I can remember the first time, and again, I raced motorcycles for years, so it's not like getting out on the racetrack was anything new to me. But I can remember the first time going out of the pits at Albany Saratoga and pulling up over the hump onto turn 1 and looking down the straightaway and looking out, and I've got goosebumps thinking about it right now. But I remember it like it was yesterday. It was 1985. No, maybe it was 84. I was running the mini modified then. I just and it was the same thing with Fonda. The first time I went to Fonda, I ran the mini modified, the 4-cylinder modified at Lebanon Valley. I ran it once, and it was about like going to Talladega. We put our foot on the mat, we went out there, we ran 8 laps, and it was just, but it was cool. I mean, it was a banking and everything else. It was cool, but.
See,
Listen, I can remember.
I always wanted to race there. I never got the opportunity to race Fonda.
Yeah,
it's about the only place
we've been wanting to go. We keep calling it La Fonda's. We want to go to La Fonda's. The last time I was there, I think I was 15. We were there for a tour race with the Pro Stocks with my dad, and we stood down in the infield area. And I haven't really been there since, and so it's got to be over 30 years. But eventually, I'll go there with something. You know,
I haven't been there in a while. Is the ice cream stand still open next door?
Oh yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I thought that was the coolest thing, man. I'm like, oh damn, like park in the parking lot, grab ice cream, and God was like, this is all right.
Yeah. People have asked me all the time. They're like, listen, man, if we mic you up inside the car, I was like, listen, that's not a good idea. Listen, because I talk to myself all the time, and it's usually not good. I was like, that's not a good idea. But yeah, I would, and I've given up some really great opportunities to be a driver. I mean, Timmy Pitts, when he left for a few years in Orange County, he shut the mic off one night, and I had been there maybe the second or third night, and he leaned in and he says, I'm about to give you an opportunity of a lifetime. And I was like, okay. And he goes, I'm leaving. He goes, and you're going to take my place. And I was in awe of that. And he stood down in the front stretch, and I remember my dad being there. My dad was all choked up, and he introduced that I was going to be taking his place. And I was just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? It was what an honor. And then I realized that I had missed racing. I sat out that year because I had some surgery and stuff on my leg, and I had missed racing. And being in that booth, I was like, man, I need to bring a car, and then I tried to do the announcing and then run up to the booth, race, run up to the booth, announce, then go back to, and and I was doing that at Accord too. I was racing and announcing, and it got to be so much. And I wound up calling Timmy, and I said, man, I would love to have you back. And then it went from there, I prefer driving over announcing. But if the opportunity, shows itself, then sure, I'll jump behind the mic. Penn was great. I'd been there once and raced, and then, Nate asked me to do it. I was like, yeah, absolutely, man, But I remember my first time in a race car. I grew up 20 minutes away from Bethel Motor Speedway. That's where I grew up. And back then it was White Lake. But when I started racing, it was Sullivan County. And, I still remember being out there and I was like dizzy. I remember like hyperventilating in the car because I couldn't believe I was driving a race car, and there are times when I still get that way. You know what I mean? You pull into Syracuse. I was like, I don't understand what everybody's so, afraid of this place for. But I remember when you pulled onto the track and you looked down the front stretch and I was like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yep.
It's just,
you'll never replace that feeling.
No,
I mean, I thank my lucky stars I got the opportunity to do it. There's a lot of people that aren't so lucky. I didn't get to do it nearly as long as I would have liked, or to the level of what maybe I dreamed. But but there comes a time, and in mine, it's kind of a weird situation. I don't think it's any different from a lot of people. When I first started, I had help, and I had time, and I had physical capability. And now that I've got, and I didn't have any money to do it. So now maybe I could afford to do it. Half of my help has passed on. I don't have the actual, tools or place. I mean, I used to do it out of my father's garage, and now that I got these pieces, I don't have these pieces. It would never work. And, people say, do you miss it? Of course I miss it. But I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah. And
I always said it's like a disease. There's no known cure.
Yeah. I said to I say to my father sometimes, I said, sometimes I wish that I had been born a girl and I'd have been into dolls. And then I think about it and I go, no, I'd probably have a race car. But and my dad, he chased racetracks for over 40 years. And I said to him, I said, when did you know that you had enough? And he goes, you'll know. He goes, it'll just come to you, and then it's going to be it. He was unofficial, for however many years, and same thing. He asked the same question to Brett. When did you know that it was time? And he said, well, it's still not time, but just not to run as much as as he was, and I'm still a young guy, and I'm still like, well, Bretson, he just hit his 60s and he's still getting it done, and I'm like, well, cool, man. That gives me another 20 some odd years, but it just, I've never been, I never thought that, not that I'm anybody, as far as driving goes, but I never thought that I would accomplish the things that I've accomplished. And I think that's always kept me kind of humble. My dad always said, never forget where you came from, because you were that guy once too. And to be able to do what I've done, with the announcing, with this little podcast that we have, with, winning races. And like you said, Dan, there are people that will race for 20, 30 years and never even win a heat race, and to be able and to be able to accomplish, what I mean? What I've done. Listen, I'm good. If it were to be over tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. I'd be fine. I'd be happy with it.
That was me though. When I was racing, I didn't listen. I was okay at it, but I never got a win. But you know what? I had a lifetime of fun doing it. You know what I mean? And I travel. Joel, I traveled all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean, when I had my street stock, I was taking that thing everywhere. I went to the Sportsman. I drove it everywhere. Why? Just to say I did it, and I've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. I had no business there. You know what I mean? I would go travel to the Short Track Super Series. Like, why am I here? Just to have fun, you know what I mean?
The cool,
because you know why I would do it? Because I'm going there to watch the damn race anyway. So why not drag the car along too?
Might as well bring a car. Yeah,
that's what I say. So I listen. I don't have no problem sitting back in the stands watching the feature. I don't care.
It was very humbling when we went and left Syracuse. I'm telling you, man, we looked like Sanford and Son, Dan. Our trailer was falling apart. I had a school bus that kind of ran. And the car was just, it was what it was. And we were only there to do one thing. And that was just to say, that I ran Syracuse, but, we were not the slowest guys there. And when we left, there's still, quite a few of the guys that we met up there. And, it was, came over and shook our hands and went, you know what, man, you guys ought to be proud of yourselves. We didn't qualify. But that was very cool. That was, Rob Yetman came over and he was like, "Listen, man, you guys brought a water gun to a cannon fight. You guys ought to be proud of what you did." Sean Cora, I mean, Sean, I tell my kids every time he's on and he's racing Daytona, I'm like, I lost Rookie of the Year to him. And my kids, they're always like, and now when he comes on, they're like, "Yeah, we know, Dad, you lost Rookie of the Year to Sean Cora." But you know what I mean? And it's just, it's very cool, man. I've had a very cool very cool racing career, and it's still going, and the things that we're doing, and it's just, it's been awesome, and the people I've met,
and I was just going to say, I'm sure I can speak for all three of us and say, just the people that we've met that you would have never met elsewise, and even if you were just going to the grandstands, you meet people, you become friends, and I tell people about this, how we are like family. We see each other every Friday or every Saturday or maybe both, and then we don't see anybody for 4 months. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, opening day hits, and we just went through it all.
You just pick right back up. Yep.
It's like boom. It's like nothing changed.
And I got to revert back to the Emerson Cargain and I. I've learned so much from him, and not only with racing, but with my life. I really have. He's been a great. I call him Pop. And there was a time when I think him and I both wanted to beat the hell out of each other. And even now, I break his chops about, Orange County has its own private country club. But at the end of the day, if that man were to need anything, give me a call. I'll be right there. You know what I mean? And it's just it's a very cool. It's again. I want to go to those drill instructors that I had, man, when I was in San Antonio, Texas. Going through school and tell them, nope, you were wrong. You were wrong. I found it. Absolutely, just awesome. So,
and that goes like Tommy Groover just commented on the first time I met him was at 5 Mile Point, and obviously our street stocks are not like that, not even close. And then I actually had distributor problems, I had issues, and him and his guy, the Towners as well. They went thrashing on my car. I never met them ever. That was the first time I even ever met them guys. And they were willing to jump inside my car and try to get that thing going. That just shows you willing to help anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the cool people, awesome people.
So how much longer you think you're going to be doing all the announcing and stuff like that, Dan?
Until I'm done. I don't know, Joel. I mean, there's nights where I say it's going to be my last. There's other nights, and the thing that, and you've been there, Gary's going to witness this, that, you've talked about, seeing somebody bag their first win. That is like a shot of adrenaline to me. That'll give me a whole nother year, see one of these guys that struggled. And that's one thing about us being able to do victory lanes and get the raw emotion. And I mean, I've seen guys get out of cars and crying like a baby, and it's just that you've got that much into it. There's so much emotion and everything else. And to see that, we're talking about, guys that, it took forever. One that comes to mind, Dean Charbonneau. I knew him for years and years and years. We pitted next to each other when we raced. Dean didn't have a lot of money. He was raising a family and trying to keep this hobby alive. He did what he could do on what money he could do it with. He put the money on the table. What was left, he went racing with. I can remember him coming to my garage and taking bent shocks and whatever and bent wheel. I take it. I mean, not that believe me, I didn't have a crazy budget, but he was doing it just, to do what he could do, building his own stuff. Him, his father, and his brother-in-law were the three of them together. Dean hadn't won a race. He was and he was racing when we were in high school. I was out racing motorcycles and whatever. He was racing the beginning of the street stock class at Malta then, when an old Chevy 2, it was an asphalt car that they converted into a street stock. I announced Dean's first win. Now he's got more than I have.
Yeah.
He cracked open the door.
He certainly picked it
I
up.
announced his first win. I had people coming. I mean, you would have thought that it was a Winston Cup race. And, you know, I mean, I had you could not get me. I was 3 feet off the ground. And, you know, it just that shit just, I mean, that it's like a whole drug. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm a sucker for a first time winner, man.
So, you know, Tony Gearhead, right? He does a ton of stuff for me, and the guy is absolutely awesome. And his son Michael used to run Pro Stock, and Michael was running Orange County and didn't have any luck, and he kept wrecking the car. And then I had the opportunity when the Pro Stocks were huge at Accord, and Michael wound up winning. And I think I was crying in victory lane along with Tony, and it was awesome. What an awesome feeling, you know. Again, just a fan. You know what I mean? I think that's what makes a great announcer, and that's what I said to Gary, man. I said, listen, take that gig at Accord. I said, you're gonna. I said, I think you'll be fine because you're a fan. You're a fan of racing already, and yeah, I don't know. The stories could go on and on and on and on. I mean, when I first started, the Dembecs helped me out. Andy and Tom. Andy, I used to take their old leaf springs. I had a Camaro. I'd take their old leaf springs. I mean, these things were they were straight. They were straight, just like this underneath the car. And I would put them in the car, man, and I would run. I remember Tom giving me a spring. I don't know. It had 22 different colors on it. He goes, I think this is what you're going to want. And I had like these metal shims that somebody had like torched out. And he's like, just put this in the right front. and you know, that's what you did, man. And, you know, I had the opportunity now, you know, to have really decent stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, just the people that kept you going. Listen, you know, we know you're struggling, and here, take this. You know, what do I owe you? Nothing. Don't worry about it. You know, don't wreck me. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but all right. So it is. It's 20 after 8, man. And dude, this has been awesome. It really has.
No, you guys keep up the good work, man. It's very entertaining. I enjoy it. I'm not blowing smoke. You see me pop in on the comments every once in a while. I love to try and catch it live. If not, I'll catch it on the redo. Gary, enjoy yourself Friday night. You're working for some of the finest people you'll ever meet, man. We think the world of Gary and Donna, and
they're great people.
They are good people. He's been a great friend.
He's one of the hardest working owners you'll ever. That goes unnoticed with him.
Yeah.
I noticed 100%. That when just the short time I was there, I'm like, damn, this guy busts his ass.
Listen, I felt extremely bad when I told him, you know, and like I said, I was up there religiously for 10 years. And like I said, the kids were getting older, and it was getting tougher for me to go up there and do the announcing. And when I like avoided telling him for a month that, you know, that I wasn't going to be coming back, and only because it just absolutely, you know what I mean? I had such a good time, and you know, every once in a while, you know, I think that I was up there maybe a couple of years ago or whatever, and you know, I felt horrible. I really did. They were always very good to me, and just absolutely, you know, it's a great place to race also, you know, and
I love it.
So, Dan, we have had we have had
Friday night track. I don't get to go much. It used to be back in the day. Albany Saratoga would open 2 weeks after Accord did, because Accord always opened early.
Yeah,
and I could always catch the first couple of Friday night shows. Of course, Frozen took us off, but and then they'd go a couple weeks deeper at the end of the year, so I could catch a couple. So I always got to do it then. But now they got smart and realized that people don't come out to freeze and cook it.
You know. But Dan, we have had one of the greatest big block modified drivers ever on this show, and that was Brad Hearn. And listen, and again, I'm not one to get all nostalgic or teary-eyed or any of that other good stuff, man. But you are one of the best announcers ever to pick up a microphone. I mean, dude, you're an absolute legend, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here with us, man. And and thanks for watching. I mean, it's an absolute honor. It really is. It's an absolute honor.
No, anytime, man. You guys know we're all in this boat together, and
I never thought that this would become what it is. Not that we're like a national show or any of that other stuff, but man, we're just a couple hundred or a few away from 5,000 followers, and I guess that's good. I don't really know.
That's a lot.
I was like, listen, I think my kids watch it. Does that count?
Good.
But it's and it's absolutely just I think two knuckleheads on here that enjoy racing, and man, we love having you guys on, and dude, you're right up there with this is I'm gonna go to work and watch this tomorrow. I hope my boss doesn't watch it.
Yeah. Well, but, you're doing something right, and you're having fun.
I hope so.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Listen, this is all Gary, man. I just show up on time now for the 5th week in a row.
Yeah. 5th week.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's when that one comes that you don't make it, man. That's I don't know.
I'm on it.
I'm gonna be all screwed over. Yeah,
like a
man. So,
yep.
All right.
So I hope to see you guys soon. Hopefully, we'll bump elbows somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Listen, I always look for you at the end of the year at Bethel.
I'll be there sometime.
Yeah,
hey,
the one night
I've seen you drive the wheels off a race car there.
Oh man, dude, Gary, he shows up one night and I think the rotor broke and
County 100.
Shit. Yeah, I don't know how many laps down. I was like, what am I, 35 laps down? Watch, I'm going to make this up. Dude, I had to go back out, man. My wife and kids were there. It was freezing cold, and you know what I mean? So I had to go do something, man, but dude, it was really cool. And all I hear is Dan up there going like this, and I'm going, dude, I'm not going to go anywhere. But it's just absolute blast, man. Awesome. So, all right, Dan, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, all right, guys. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and enjoy yourself Friday night, Gary, and Joel, you do the best you can on Saturday.
I'm trying, man. Listen, we got second.
We're getting used to that second place thing, so we might be all right. He's settling right into second.
Yeah, man.
All right. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care, man.
Yeah. Dude, I could talk to Dan for hours and hours and hours. Just one of them guys that's going to, got to invite him down to a fire pit Friday. Stories, just the stories. Man.
That's what's great, man. When you get,
I'm telling you,
stories like that.
That's when it started with, Dad, can't we go anywhere where people don't know who you are? When I went up to Albany Saratoga, and then I bought a video, and I think Bobco Video was doing the videos then, and I put it in. And Dan I'm telling you, man, he made it sound like I was like some national driver that, you know what I mean? And I had just won Middletown the week before, and dude, it was just awesome. Just awesome guy. Awesome guy. Dude, a great announcer too. Just absolutely wow. Yeah. So, but all right, man. Holy shit. It's been over an hour.
Hour 20.
Yeah, man. So
we're stretching these things out.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all right.
All right, folks. That's gonna do it for us for this week. And listen, man, we cannot thank you enough for watching and for listening and for sharing and for hitting that like button. And I do believe, Gary, you're right. You got stickers and T-shirts and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah,
that people can order if they want to.
Yep. You can, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Other than that,
I have the Northeast Racing happyhour.com.
Yeah,
you can order the things for Bethel.
Okay.
We got stickers. But just a little plug. If anybody that's watching from Bethel, you can get the DVDs there, or I can drop them in your Dropbox. That seems to be a popular thing right now.
That's a great idea. I never heard that. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's
Yeah, I've had so many. I've sent out so many to people already. So that's actually really the way to go.
And how do you right? Because you got to get paid to do that. How do they? Do you have like Venmo or something?
Yeah, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, however you want to do it. They send the payment, and then I'll send the thing right over to the Dropbox. If you don't have a Dropbox, it's free to create one, and then it just sends large files, so I can send. If you want, just like today, I sent out probably seven videos, and I'll give you the heat race and the feature.
Yeah,
if you just want that, because a lot of guys don't want to sit through watch the whole night of racing.
Yeah.
So this way,
I watch the whole night. I like the whole night because there's some times I miss stuff. We're working on the car. And,
but a lot of
dude,
guys
that's absolute genius. It really is. I think you just started
kind of like trying to the DVDs. I'll still make them for the old school people. but I think the people that are up with the times,
yeah,
they
yeah.
get it, and, you know, and they're the ones that are on with like the USB drives and
I
this
don't even think
Dropbox deal, you know.
Middletown is, they have the live feed, but I don't think you can get a copy of the race at all.
Yeah, I don't see anyone.
You know,
I
and
don't think
that's,
they
to
have
me,
official
that kind of,
videographer there.
yeah. You know, it
Yeah.
used to be, I think it was Tommy Zaban or whatever. I mean, every once in a while they'll put a race on YouTube or something. I mean, the coverage is amazing. You know, they have cameras all over the place. But
I think that they keep, you know, they have that, and I think they have like a library, you know, so you got to pay for it still. But the days of getting a DVD like that are just about over with, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolute genius. You know, I'm sure eventually, I'll have to update, how I watch these things. And Ron Hills, every once in a while, he would, he would send me, a video of like the feature or something like that, and you know what I mean. But absolutely awesome. So, all right, folks, that's gonna do it for us. Keep an eye on the website. As we said, the season has really picked up, and we're hot and heavy. We're already a couple weeks in, and I'm sure that we're gonna be picking up with as far as having drivers on and stuff like that. And but a big thank you to Dan Martin. Thank you so much. Shout out to Nate Stevens, Open Racing Challenge Series, Orcs Awakening. I think it was a success. His next one is at the Bethel Motor Speedway. I want to say that is going to be May 21st?
2nd, I believe.
May 22nd. Okay.
Yeah. May 22nd.
Yeah. So yours truly, I will be there for that. Actually, street stocks are off that night, and I just told Tony, looks like we're putting headers in a bigger carb on. Let's do that. But listen, I think it was a successful race for Nate and Penn Can Speedway. Very welcoming. Thank you to them. So that's.
I hope Mr. Morris comes down.
He plans on it.
Somebody would. I want to see one of them Southern Tier street stocks come down
Alicia
here.
Towner, I believe, is my understanding. She picked up a ride in one of the Southern Tier street stocks, and she will be following the series. Mike Morse is coming. I believe he said that. Spore, right? Oh my gosh, last name was Spore. I don't remember the first name. I believe he's coming. He's supposed to be hitting me up for some help. But I'll probably just revert him right over to Tony. But anyway, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all again. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, wherever it is. It's down there somewhere. And thank you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Brett Spore. Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, I knew it was something. I kept calling it. There's a fungus among us. Brett Spore.
Yeah, fungus. Yeah.
But yeah, so what are you gonna do? So, well, if you are on social media and you are bashing the track, man, like I said earlier tonight, you are definitely part of the problem. So listen, go out there, support your local racetracks. Maybe I can talk to Billy to come. Yes. Listen, he can run whatever he wants.
Yeah, there's no rule.
Tires. Tell Billy I have tires for him if he wants to come. I'll buy him a set of tires to come run. Only because I just want to hear him run his mouth. That's
and I'll foot the fuel, and I will foot the fuel bill
for the race car, not for the hauler,
truck. Right? I'll foot the bill. He drives. I'll foot the bill.
Yeah, man. So, all right, folks, that's gonna do it, man. Gary, I'll see you Saturday, sir. Have fun on Friday. Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Everybody, be good night.